Good afternoon. My name is Rebecca Fredrickson, and I'm a second grade teacher here at Dyer Kelly. I've spent the last 10 years as an inclusion specialist in the district, working with kids who had a lot of severe behavioral needs, and helping them make it into the general ed classroom. So I have a background, I've been trained in therapeutic crisis intervention, which this training is kind of based upon. So our goals today are to help to learn how to resolve conflict in a more positive manner with children. The support we're looking for environmentally and emotionally to reduce stress and risk. If we reduce the stress, we reduce the risk of the behavior escalating. And then teaching children better ways to cope with stress. So just to kind of understand your needs. Are you mainly parents of elementary age children, middle school, high school? Fifth grade? Elementary? Okay. Elementary? All right. Second grade, yes. I know your son. Middle school. All right. Well, there should be some strategies for everybody to be able to use. There we go. So first thing we're going to look at is the stress model of crisis. We all start at a baseline. So when we're just feeling our regular normal self, that's what our baseline is. Some of us have a baseline that's a little escalated. Some people have a baseline that's really, really mellow, so we're all a little bit different. But our baseline is kind of our normal state of being. Then we may have a triggering event, something that happens that starts us getting anxious. It starts us getting agitated. So we'll call that the triggering event. Before we get any higher, this is the area we want to address. Because if we can address it here, it's a lot easier to bring it back down to baseline. But by the time we get further up to the escalation phase, you're probably going to end up going to crisis. So we really want to work on today, what we're going to be talking about are strategies that we can use with children to help them de-escalate. All right? The escalation phase looks like aggression. I mean, that's, you know, kids getting in your face, kids who are making threats, kids who are having aggressive behavior before the outburst phase. And the outburst phase is violence. Hitting, kicking, punching the walls, having any kind of physical outburst. By the time that happens, you know, we have lost our ability to de-escalate. That kid now is going to have to de-escalate kind of on their own. There are things we can do to help them, but all the things we're going to learn today will help us to bring it back down here before it reaches that place. The first thing that we're going to look at is we're going to look at self-awareness. There's 4 questions that we're going to ask ourselves. First question, so when our child, you know, our student is starting to get to that place, they're doing things right now, they're agitated, they're saying things, they're starting to act out. And when they do those things, how does that affect us? So the first question we need to ask ourselves right then and there is, how am I feeling? And I have to acknowledge how I'm feeling before I do anything with my child. How am I feeling? And then what does this young person need, feel, or want? So now I got to start thinking, I got to kind of get out of myself for a second and I got to think, what's going on here? What do they need? The third thing is, how is the environment affecting them? And we're going to talk a little bit more later about what does that mean? What is the environment? How can the environment affect somebody? We'll talk about that. And then the fourth thing, after I've done those three, then I think, how do I respond to this? Unfortunately, what often happens is we see a child starting to have a behavior and we respond. I'm teaching my kids in my class right now. We're learning how to separate our feelings and our behavior. Because oftentimes what happens is our feelings, we get angry and we react. So we're learning strategies to separate those two. So that's one of the things that we need to do for ourselves before we intervene with our kids. So this saying, I think, is incredibly true. When we're at our angriest, we are at our stupidest. When we're angry, what happens in our brain is we get flooded with chemicals that turn off any ability to think. When we're angry, that's why we do and say things that we regret later. So when we're angry is not the time to deal with your child and your child's behavior when you're angry. So you've got to take care of that first. Okay? So I like this. As anger goes up, your ability to think cognitively goes down. So I'm not going to talk a lot about this pyramid because we're really going to look at pieces of it. We looked at the self-awareness questions. We're going to talk about active listening and crisis communication. Every bit of communication that we have with another person, very little of what we actually speak comes across in meaning. So for example, if I say to you, wow, that was incredible. You can tell by my face, my eyes are wide open. You can tell by the tone of my voice that I really mean, wow, that was incredible. But if I say to you, wow, that was incredible, I said the same words, but you had a very different meaning. You took a very different meaning from what I said because my face, my facial expression, and my tone of voice were completely different. So this is something very important when we are talking to our kids. When I know for myself, it's really easy to jump into being sarcastic. Sarcasm is something that I think we all fall into, but it's one of those things, a lot of times our kids don't get that. And they hear us say one thing, and we mean something completely different. So we have to be very careful and really think about when we speak that we are using the appropriate facial expression and tone of voice. When we talk about behavior support techniques, there's a whole list of things that we can do to help our kids get out of that crisis and to help ourselves too. First thing, managing the environment. And we're going to really look at that one in detail. On your packet, the second packet that you have, it says at the top, potential causes for challenging behavior. So we're going to look a lot at, in fact, let's do that right now, managing the environment. When we talk about managing the environment, we're talking about all of the things in our environment that can cause, that can increase a behavior, or that can decrease the likelihood of a behavior happening. So on the left-hand side of this list, there's a whole list of different things that you're going to look at and you're going to think about your own child. And you're going to think, what are some of the things here that might increase the likelihood of my child having a behavior? What are some of the things that might decrease the likelihood? So, for example, under physical environment, some of the things it has order and cleanliness, lighting, noise levels. furnishings, decorations, their bedroom, props for the child to play, things, toys for them to play with. So let's say in your child's room, they came home one day and all the toys are gone. So do you think the likelihood of your child having a behavior is going to increase or going to decrease? It's going to increase, isn't it? Because they're going to go, wait a minute. So what I want you to do right now is I want you to look at these. And I think it's just that one page. And I want you to look at these, and then the second box says makes challenging behavior more likely. So you're going to kind of just put a check mark if you think that is going to make it more likely for your child to have a behavior or less likely. Some of the things like having a quiet place to do homework. Is that going to make behavior more likely or less likely? Less likely, right. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to give you just a couple of minutes to do that on your own. You know, now when it talks about setting conditions, it doesn't mean just the physical environment. I mean, it means, you know, is your child hungry? Are they tired? You know, did they just have a fight with their best friend? You know, these are all different setting conditions that could cause problems at home. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the next page in your packet has a list called Preventing Crisis by Creating a Safe and Secure Environment. So there's a whole list of different ways that you can set your house up, your routines up, to help decrease the likelihood of a condition that's going to cause a behavior. So some of it talks about setting conditions. So it could be the physical environment, routines, activities, different activities that you have at home, relationships. You know, sometimes with your siblings, you know, today could be a really bad sibling day, and just being in the same room with a sibling could cause that to happen. Some days it could be you or your wife or your husband. Some days, you know, your child left school or left home this morning and the last thing was, you know, you were yelling at each other. So when he comes home that day, whoever he was yelled at or yelling at could be a setting condition for him. So, you know, thinking outside the box sometimes. It could be students who have medical conditions. We have students who have diabetes that they come home, their blood sugar is low, and watch out. So looking at all the kind of different aspects of your child, providing a clean, calm physical environment is really helpful for kids to be able to kind of decompress. Activities and routines should be balanced structure with flexibility. Should provide for transitions. One of the things that I do a lot with kids is giving warnings before you change to another activity. Giving warnings. You're watching TV, okay, you've got 5 more minutes and then we're gonna go. You know, okay, you've got 10 more minutes playing and then you need to pack everything up and get ready. So giving those kinds of transitions, those prompts for transitioning. Treating each child as an individual. And like I said before with baseline behavior, you know, you have different children and, you know, if you have multiple children, each child may have a different baseline. Some kids are just so easygoing and just go with the flow, and some kids aren't. And that's their baseline. Every kid is different, has different strengths, different abilities, effects of trauma, recognizing what those are. A lot of kids that we see in school today have kind of an underdeveloped ability to self-regulate. So when I say that, I mean self-control, being able to stop and think before reacting. So acknowledging that if that's what if your child has that, you may need to react differently to them than you would to a child who can go more with the flow. Some ways that you can help children. So one of the biggest things is trying to see it from the child's perspective. And again, when we're at our angriest, that's a really hard thing to do. So that's another reason when we're upset at our kids is to take care of ourselves first. Ask ourselves what's going on, have some strategies that we can use to calm ourselves down so that we can then do that. So seeing the incident from the child's perspective, helping kids see the connection between feelings and their behaviors again, teaching that, feelings are just what they are. Feelings are not good or bad. We all have a whole range of feelings. It's what we do. It's our behavior that we have after the feeling. So, and again, I know so many kids who cannot differentiate between the two. They are mad and they react, and I'm mad. That's what I do when I'm mad. So really helping them to differentiate between those two, and then encouraging kids to be responsible for their actions. So we are going to do a little activity, and we're going to look at reflective responses. So we're going to practice one of the ways we can help kids when they come to us or when they complain to us, when they tell us something they don't like or they don't want. So I'm going to pass out, I'm going to have you in groups of 3. Do we have 3, 3, 3, and 2? We'll make this work. So what you're going to do, I'm going to give each group, each person is going to get a card. And on the card is something that I'm sure you have heard many times from your kids. And what we're going to practice is how to give a reflective response. And a reflective response is just that you're reflecting back to them what it is you hear them saying. And again, if you are at that, if your baseline is up here now, you're not going to be able to do this. So you've got to get yourself back, get that anger out of you so you can do this and so you can help your child. Reflective responses can say, what I hear you saying is, or when this happens, you feel, So you're feeling, right now? Or, so I hear you telling me. So it's just reflecting. So what you're going to do in your groups of 3 is you're going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have, maybe, could I have you join this group? Would that be okay with you? Yeah. And so what I'm going to have you do is one person is going to read the card to another person, and then that person is going to give a reflective response. And then the third person is going to listen and give a feedback. So what did you hear? Did you hear a reflective response? Or did they need to do something a little differently? So you're going to be kind of the judge. You're going to be listening and seeing what they hear. Then you're going to read yours. You're going to be the child, and then you're going to be the adult giving the reflective response back, and you'll be listening. And then you'll be the child, and you'll read it to her, and you'll reflect. So you're just going to go around, and you'll take turns. So one of the ways to not go there is to just ask. Another would be eliciting techniques. That's the other piece of this is so tell me more.
I'm just tired.
So tell me.
I'm just gonna tell you.
Okay. So what do you think might happen if you don't sleep?
Well, I'm probably gonna be pretty tired in the morning.
Yeah. And how's that going to be?
that's gonna make it difficult to get to school on time.
Yeah, that's true. And then, wow, we might, you know, in the morning, it might be really tough because we're going to be rushing around. So it's another way of trying to get them to solve their own problem, you know. But it's tough. Stopping and not wanting to fix it, not wanting to, you know, take charge of it is not something we're good at as adults. You know, it's like it's a hard thing to do. But this is a way to have him think it through and him come up with those answers. Sometimes just by saying to him, you know, wow, I really hear you. Tell me, you know, tell me more. He might then start saying, well, you know what, I had this bad dream last night and I'm really scared about going to sleep right now. And, you know, it can open up some things that he may not tell you if you say, well, I'm sorry, but you still need to go to sleep. You see what I mean? It's like you can open up a conversation, but if you have a child who every night says, I don't want to go to sleep, but as soon as you say, get your rear in bed and go to sleep, and they do, then that's not the kid we're talking about. That's not the kid who's going to have this big behavior.
My daughter's strategy is
Okay.
more like, so she's happy to talk to me. She'll say, oh, I'm scared. What are you scared about? Well, you know, I heard this helicopter or whatever. Can you just read me one more story?
So she's wanting more time with you. Yeah.
This is sleep thing.
Well, it's
Right.
I bet she's younger.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about my teenager. If I let him to, let's say it's past half hour past his bedtime,
Right.
and say I'm just not tired. If I give in, that's another hour at least, and everybody else is gonna go to bed, and he's still up. So after that softer conversation, you have to be firm and say, I want you to go to bed, no matter what, even if you don't go to sleep, I want the lights on.
So sometimes, and we're going to talk more about that too, like giving choices.
Yeah.
You know, okay, so you don't want to, you're not tired right now, you don't want to go to sleep. Okay, well, so you can either go to bed, turn the lights out, and just lay there, or you can read for 5 minutes and then go to sleep. So giving those choices sometimes takes away the kind of, you know,
I
that.
even gave
Yes.
him
You already gave him.
15 minutes. No, I said 15, 20 minutes, and that's it. We have to go to sleep.
Right. And again, it depends on the child. Yeah, so. Consequences are just what happens after you do something. There's a consequence to everything we do. You know, I go to work, my consequence is that I get to teach kids, and sometimes I have kids who go, oh, I get it. Sometimes I get a paycheck. Those are all consequences. But if I decided one day that I just didn't want to go to work, I have a consequence for that too. So consequences are good and bad. Kids who are in their teen years are not, you know, that cognitive, where we talked about anger and your cognitive level. Well, kids who are in their teen years are oftentimes not in that cognitive place. So sometimes what we have to do is just be a mirror. These, you know, this, and this, these are the things that could happen. You have to make the decision though on what you want. Do you want, you know, if you do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, this is going to happen. You have to make your choice. It's hard allowing them to make that choice, and sometimes they make that wrong choice, or the choice we wouldn't want them to make. So, the conflict cycle starts with that stressful situation, that triggering event. The young person has a feeling, the child has a feeling about that. They'll have a behavior after the feeling, and then how we respond can either stop the cycle or can keep that cycle going. Okay? So Oh, okay. Some of the things we can do to avoid the conflict cycle. Using positive self-talk, that's for us. That's for bringing ourselves down and getting us to the place where we can handle this like adults, right? Listening and validating their feelings. And that's kind of a little bit about what we just did. You know, just listen. Sometimes, I know that this is one of the hardest things for us to do. Because we want to jump in. We're parents and we're caregivers. We want to help. So sometimes just stopping and listening is the most powerful thing you can do. Manage the environment, which means sometimes it might be getting somebody else out of the room, because that other person might be causing the cycle to continue. Giving choices and the time to decide. You know what? The funny thing is like, okay, so if he's not gonna go to sleep this one night, and tomorrow morning he gets up at 9 o'clock and everybody else is already gone, there's a consequence in that. And it's a natural consequence. Especially, you know, if it's on a day where he really wanted to go to something and he missed it because he didn't go to sleep and he didn't wake up in time. Yeah.
About getting someone out of the room, are
Yeah.
you referring to a third person? Or?
Sometimes, so let's say you have siblings who are fighting, and you know your one child can't let it go, and he's just escalating. So getting that other kid out of the room can help him then to de-escalate. Yeah. Redirecting them to another positive activity. We're talking about a child who's in that cycle and who is gonna blow. We're not necessarily talking about a kid who's just whining a little bit and then it's gonna go back to their baseline. So when I say redirecting them to another positive activity, I hear people often say, well, that's rewarding them for bad behavior, right? But when that child is in that cycle, remember, anger means stupid. They're not able to think. And that is not the time to try to teach them what they did wrong. What that's the time for is to get them out of that cycle. I think sometimes the situation itself is a consequence in itself. So, you know, they just had a fight. And, you know, I don't know, he hit her, she hit him, or something. And she's the one that kind of started it. That's kind of a consequence, knowing if that her brother or sister is like that. So she kind of got a lesson out of that. That in itself is a consequence, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but I'm saying that sometimes the situation in and of itself is a consequence. So I agree with you, you don't have to necessarily consequence everything, but teaching to it is a different thing. So if they continue, and we're gonna have a chance to actually look at some of these areas that your kids have like recurring problems. And we're gonna look at them and we're going to do some writing about, come up with ideas and strategies. So, but one of the things that I think is really important is after the event, when everybody's back to baseline, is talking about it and teaching a different way to handle that. So, you know, if your daughter is looking for ways to kind of get him or to try to get him hooked, then it would be teaching him some ways to ignore her. You know, if she's going to do this, teaching him ways to take care of himself so he doesn't get hooked every time. Yes, exactly, teaching coping skills. So, but we'll look a little bit more at some of those specific situations. We're going to look at the different ways to to address them. Appealing to their self-interest. Anybody who appeals to our self-interest when we're upset, it's a helpful way to get somebody out of that cycle. Dropping or changing the expectation. Again, remember, we're talking about a child who is going to explode. We're not talking about a kid who's just having a little bit of a, you know, I don't want to. Those kids, we kind of know what to do with. We're talking about a kid who, if you keep this expectation going for this child, it's not going to turn out well. Something's going to get broken. Somebody's going to get hurt. I'm talking about that kid. So sometimes in that situation, dropping the expectation is your best bet. You got to get this kid back to baseline. And then when they're back at baseline is when you are going to teach a better way to handle that situation. Trying to do it while he's in the midst of that anger is only going to cause it to continue. That cycle will just keep going. Okay? So, last little slide here. Some things that you can say, verbal strategies. The first one is a big one. Saying very little. It's like, wow, I can see you're really upset. How hard is that? It does. It's tough to do. So, saying very little, and then using understanding responses. I can see you are really upset right now. I can see you're really angry right now. Encouraging positive behaviors. So when I've noticed before that when this happened, you did this. So you're kind of reflecting what you've seen them do before that worked for them, you know? So, and then encouraging them to do that again. Emphasize desirable outcomes. So, you know what? I'm trying to think of an example. When you go to sleep tonight and we get up in the morning, we're going to be going to blah, 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 blah. You know, and you're going to get a good night's sleep, and then we're going to be able to go do this. So, helping them see beyond the present moment. That there will be, there's something down here that they're going to like. Offering an apology. It doesn't have to mean that you're sorry that you did something. I oftentimes, when I hear a kid who's just bawling about somebody that did something and they're so upset, you know, wow, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry. I didn't do it, but I am sorry. I'm sorry they're feeling that way. So just offering that. And if you did, you know, if you lost it, you lost your cool, then apologize. It's okay. Remember the importance of tone of voice again. Tone of voice and facial expression. Let's see, I think that's the end of that. Okay, so in your handout looks like that's the next to last page. It is the last page in your handout. It's a page that says using consequences. So helping children to succeed, making the rule or the expectation very clear. And you probably have all had this situation where you've told your child to do something and they said, well, I did. And they actually did do what you said, but it wasn't everything you meant. You meant, you know, put your dish away. And well, they put their dish away, but they left their fork and their knife and their cup on the table. Well, they did put their dish away. So be very clear in your directions. I worked with kids with autism for 17 years, and I had to learn that. I learned that when you give a direction, make sure that you give the entire thing, because children, a lot of children are very concrete. When you say something to them, they'll do what you say, but they don't get that you're implying a lot more than what you just said. Okay?
You have to be very specific.
You have to be specific. Negotiate. Give kids the sense that they have a little power in their lives, and you're going to get more of a buy-in. Especially in areas where they have repeated difficulty. Reinforce with consequences. So, guidelines, reinforcing with consequences means that positive part. So when they do get through a difficult time, that's something they usually have difficulty with, have something that's going to reinforce them and make them feel good about being able to do that. Guidelines. Guidelines, natural, consequences should be natural. They should go with whatever happened. So for example, if I get mad and I take all my toys and I throw them all across the room. So what would a natural consequence be for that? Oh, if one of them breaks, yeah, that would be kind of a, yeah, that would be a consequence for that. But how would you, what would you do after they throw their toys across the room? Have them pick them up. Not, I've heard so many people who will say, you just lost your screen time for the rest of the week. It's not a natural consequence. It's not logical. It's not related to what they did. So make sure your consequences are related to what the child did. Make sure that they're proportionate to what they just did. Your child, threw a toy over in the corner, having them lose their toys for the rest of the month, not proportionate to what they just did. It should be proportionate, should be directly related. So if I threw my toy in the corner, well, that toy's up on the shelf for the rest of the day. Okay?
Can you give me an example of that?
Hmm?
Can you give me an example
Sure.
of that? My son is failing integrated math at Elkmead High School, okay? Fall and spring, okay? He got F's, okay? So he's going to lose summer going to summer school.
That is a natural consequence.
You know,
You don't get it done here, you're still going to have to get it done. I use first then. It's like you get this done, then you get this to do. But if you don't get this done, you still have to keep doing it until you get it done. Positive as well as negative, so we talked about that. And then discussed in advance, having a consequence set, if you can. There's not all the situations that you're going to come across are going to have, you're not going to have talked about every single possible consequence for every single behavior. But some of them, if your kid does something time after time after time, have that consequence set. They know what the consequence is for that behavior. The goal is learning, not revenge. Sometimes we want revenge, but that's not going to help your child learn. All right. The last thing we're going to do is on the third page, the third through the fifth page. There's 3 pages, and it's a household plan. So you're going to choose a household rule or an expectation, especially something that is happening in your house with your child that you need to figure out. It looks like that. They have it broken into times of the day. So they have bedtime routine, morning routine, meal times, homework, chores, television, computer games, phone, trips out, showers, cleaning teeth, and then a whole category for other. So what you're going to do is you're going to pick one or more of those areas. And then the next column says adult concerns. And there's an example at the top there. So their example is, they're talking about a child, Emily must go to bed at 9, so that's the bedtime routine. The example was the adult concern, Emily doesn't get enough sleep and she's grumpy in the morning. We have a battle for an hour or so every evening to get her to bed. Then we have a battle every morning to get her up and ready for school because she's so sleepy. The child concerns. So you're going to try to put yourself in your child's footsteps and think about why are they having this issue. So in this case, I hate going to bed early. I'm not tired and I get bored in my room. I hate it when they nag me about bedtime. And then solutions. And in the solutions column, it says on here, and I like this, it's think quantity, not quality. They want you to really just brainstorm. Come up with as many different solutions as you can think of to that problem. So in this case, they said she can go to bed. Now, these don't all have to be good solutions, but just any kind of solution you can think of. So Emily can go to bed later. Emily can watch TV or listen to music in her room for agreed upon time. Emily can keep the light on all night. Emily can choose a bedtime story. So quantity, write as many down as you can. All right? And then when we're done, we'll probably just share out in our groups. It might be a good way for you to get ideas from other parents of things that might work for you. So I'm going to take like maybe the next 10 minutes. You can keep it. It's yours. Take the next 10 minutes and write about one of those things or two of those things, areas that you want to get some feedback on, and then we'll share out.
You can't stay out that late. Your curfew's 10 o'clock.
But it's Kim's birthday. Everyone is staying until midnight.
I said no.
Why not, Mom?
Because I said so, and I'm your mother.
Excuse me? Well, I'm going to Kim's party, and I'm going to come home at midnight because I'm your daughter.
Listen to me, Viviana de la Luz.
Hi. Sorry I interrupted. Rosalinda and I stayed out late last night. And I caught a nasty cold. Yes, I'm at my mother's house. She took care of me all night. This morning, she had to go to work. You know, it's difficult to be a good parent. It takes patience, love, and dedication. In today's episode, you will learn how important it is for parents and children to communicate. You will also learn about adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe things or people. For example, this is Marta. She is a parent. Right now, she is an angry parent. She is not a calm parent. Angry and calm are both adjectives. Easy, isn't it? This is going to be a good lesson. Hey, good is also an adjective. But now, let's get back to the story. And action!
You're too young. I have too many things to worry about. The last thing I want is to worry about you staying out late. The answer is no, and that's final.
But Mom!
Now get ready for school. Your father will be here any minute, and I'm almost late to work.
Hi, Dad.
What's the matter? Did you skip breakfast?
No. Mom just doesn't get it.
Oh, I know that very well.
I can go to Kim's birthday party, right?
Sure,
and come home around midnight?
Midnight?
What's the big deal?
No. I am not going to allow my daughter to stay out until midnight.
Why not?
There are boys at this party, right?
Yeah?
Well, you are not ready to be with boys.
How do you know?
Oh, I know. You are not going to Kim's party because I say so, and I am your father.
Oh, great. Now I can't even go to the party.
My parents just won't let me.
Why not?
They both still think I'm 12 years old. They say I'm too young.
Too young? Hello, you're 17.
My mom thinks I'll start dating. Then I'll leave school and have a baby like she did.
But your mom knows that you learned from her mistakes, doesn't she?
No, she doesn't. We don't talk much or spend much time together anymore.
But she knows you're not gonna leave school. I mean, you're a smart girl. You're Miss I never have any problems in school. Have you ever even been to the counselor's office?
No. Viviana? Yes? You need to go to the counselor's office.
Guess there's a first time for everything. What did you do?
I don't know.
Marta, sweetheart, you're a little late.
No, I am never late, Cornelio.
Honey, I told you before, you don't have to take the bus. I'm happy to drive you to work.
No, thank you, Cornelio.
Please, baby. Don't call me Cornelio. We're a big, happy family. Call me Corny.
Well, Corny, thank you for the offer, but I prefer taking the bus. And please, don't call me baby.
Oh, you're a difficult woman, Martita. I like that.
I'm a hard-working woman. That's different.
Just remember, one day, you will want a ride from me.
Just remember that I will never want a ride from you.
We'll see about that.
He asked you to call him corny?
I don't think he knows what that means in English.
Hey, Martha, what's the matter?
I'm just so busy with work, bills, and now I'm having problems with Viviana.
Problems with Viviana? But she's a great student and a really nice kid.
That's the problem. She's not a kid anymore. And she never listens to me.
The same with my Juan Carlos. That's the problem with kids in this country. They don't listen to their parents.
I know. Viviana needs more discipline.
Send Viviana back to Mexico if she gives you trouble. I'm going to send Juan Carlos back to Mexico if he gives me problems.
I've been thinking about sending her to her grandmother. I'll miss her. But maybe it's best.
Yes, for her own good.
Yeah, you know, if we get that dance group, it's going to be a great festival. Yeah. Hold on. Come in.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, Viviana, please, have a seat. Yeah, so you take care of that, okay? Okay, bye.
Am I in trouble?
Trouble? No, you're not in trouble. Just the opposite. I want you to join our gifted program.
Gifted program? But isn't that for really smart people?
That's why I'm asking you.
Really?
Absolutely. You deserve it. Are you interested?
I am. But do I need my parents' permission?
Yes, you do.
Oh no. My mom is really mad at me right now. I don't think she'll give me permission.
But won't she be happy to hear you're a good student? I'll tell you what. Let me handle it. Just tell her I want to talk to her, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Marcus.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good.
Dad, I have great news.
Your mom buying you a new car.
No, Dad. I'm going to be in the gifted program.
In what program?
You know, it's for students who get really good grades or have special talents.
You mean special classes?
It's a great opportunity, Dad. It will help me get into college later.
I don't think so, Viviana. Your friends will make fun of you if you join that program. It's a terrible idea.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I know Mom will agree with me.
And we'll see about that.
Hey, Mom.
Hi, Viviana. How was school?
Good, Mom. My counselor, Mr. Marcus, called me in today. He wants to talk to you.
Wants to talk to me? What did you do?
What do you mean, what did I do?
You did something.
I was picked to be in a special gifted program, Mom. Why do you always think I did something wrong? Why can't you think I did something right for a change?
Don't disrespect your mother. Viviana! Viviana! That's it! Hello?
Hola, Marta. What are you doing?
Dora. Viviana's in big trouble.
Oh, no. Really?
Yes. I think I'll have to send her to Mexico. I need to ask you for a favor.
Sure. What is it?
Please tell Mr. Cook I won't be there tomorrow because I need to go to Viviana's school.
No problem.
Thank you.
Bye.
Here you go. Excuse me. I want to take my daughter out of school. What office do I go to?
The attendance counter is right over there.
Thank you.
Miss Cardona? Oh, it's good to see you. No, but it wasn't necessary for you to come here. We could have talked over the phone.
I didn't come here to talk to you, Mr. Marcus. I came to take my daughter out of school.
What? Why?
Mr. Marcus, living in the United States has made her disrespectful. I'm sending her back to Mexico to stay with her grandmother. That way she'll learn to respect me.
Miss Cardona, I don't believe Viviana is disrespectful. She's a very smart and independent young woman. She likes to do things her own way, but...
Exactly. I can't allow that.
Miss Cardona, I understand how you feel, but please, Viviana is one of 8 students we want for our gifted program. This is a fantastic opportunity for her. Please, don't take her out of school. Give your daughter that chance.
And freeze! Wow. Do you think Marta will send Viviana back to Mexico? Or will she allow her daughter to go into the gifted program? We'll find out soon. But first, let's do today's lesson. Adjectives describe nouns. For example, my mother is a beautiful and smart woman. Here are some other examples. Watch and listen.
She knows you're not gonna leave school. I mean, you're a smart girl.
Oh, you're a difficult woman, Martita.
I'm a hard-working woman.
She's a great student and a really nice kid.
Good job. Now let's get back to our exciting story. Exciting is an adjective and story is a noun. And action.
Mr. Marcus, I appreciate your concern for my daughter. Maybe she is a gifted student, but she's also a disrespectful daughter. I'm sending Viviana back to Mexico. Excuse me.
May I help you?
Mom! Mom! How can you check me out of school?
I've had enough. You disrespect me, you disobey me, that's it. I'm sending you back to Mexico. Vámonos.
Back to Mexico? Fine. If you don't want to see me again, I promise you won't ever see me again.
Viviana! Viviana!
Oh my gosh, she drives me crazy.
I'm so sorry, Miss Cardona. We've looked everywhere, but we can't find your daughter.
But it's been more than a week.
We'll keep trying, but I can't promise anything.
Oh, Viviana, please come back. I'm so sorry.
This is not a good situation. Viviana is gone and Marta is miserable. Wait a minute. It doesn't have to end this way. Let's give Marta another chance, okay? And action!
So, Mr. Marcus, what exactly is this gifted program all about?
Great. Step into my office and I'll tell you all about it.
Okay.
She will take advanced courses and get work experience.
Work experience?
Yes, that's right. She'll learn about important topics of the work environment. That's my class. She'll even help the community, like volunteer at the library, bring food to the homeless, and even teach people to read and write.
Wow, I'd love to help teach people to read and write.
That is nice.
This helps our students when they go to college.
College? College, mija?
Viviana is a very bright young woman. You should be very proud.
I am so sorry, Viviana. I had no idea.
I'm sorry too. We need to talk more.
You're right. I've just been so busy with my own things. I forgot what's really important. I promise from now on, we will talk a lot.
And since we're talking, can I go to Kim's party and stay until midnight?
Don't push it.
I'm telling you.
Okay, Mom.
Marta, Marta. You don't need to put that on, you know.
Why not?
Because you're fired.
Fired? Oh, can this be true? We'll find out in our next episode. In the meantime, remember, good parents always talk with their children. We will see you next time here on English for All. Right now, I'm going to try this special remedy my mother gave me.